Why aren't we dealing with the Department of Justice?
Because the DOJ wanted to put you behind bars for 7 years, and I got him down to 11 months.
So I'll sign the goddamn deal.
I need you to picture this. You have been convicted of a crime you did not commit, or you have been accused of a crime you have not committed. You either go to prison and spend years or even decades in prison when you are possibly convicted of that crime, or you negotiate your prison terms or your guilt in order to walk a free man or to serve lesser terms. The remedies within the law that gives you the opportunity to negotiate your guilt or otherwise of a criminal offense is what we call the concept of plea bargaining. What does that even mean? How do I get to take advantage of plea bargaining as a remedy within the law? Now, in this video, we want to discuss all of that with you, explain it to you in a very basic term so you can understand it. I am Gordon Selassie Dakbo, and this is Make It Legal. Make it legal. The concept of plea bargaining is of very recent development in Ghanaian law. When we talk about plea bargain or plea bargaining, we simply are referring to a concept which allows a person accused of committing a particular crime to engage in some sort of negotiation with the state or the republic in order to have a lesser punishment or to serve the punishment for a different offense. The concept has been taken advantage of in many developed countries. In the UK, for example, 85% of criminal cases have been disposed of by plea bargaining. In other words, when you take about 10 cases, almost 8 of such cases, which are criminal cases of course, get settled by the accused persons by engaging in negotiation with the states to resolve the matter. They don't get to go through a full trial where they get convicted of the offense they are charged and they are sentenced to prison. They negotiate their guilt, they admit a lesser offense and are allowed to walk free or are allowed to come out of prison sooner. In the US, for example, it is recorded that 97% of criminal cases also get disposed of simply by the accused persons entering into a plea bargain with the state. You see that a lot in some of the movies we watch which originate from the US or the UK, where the lawyers are cutting deals, always making a plea bargain with the state, and accused persons are either serving a lesser term or they are walking about freely.
I'll turn your client over in person, no handcuffs. It'll be a country club prison, and I'll make sure that she's processed as gently as possible, as long as she admits.
It's a crappy deal wrapped in pretty paper. Why aren't we dealing with the Department of Justice?
Because the DOJ wanted to put you behind bars for 7 years, and I got him down to 11 months. You're gonna sign it. You're gonna serve your year in prison. And every night when you climb into your bunk, you're gonna thank your lucky stars that Harvey Specter negotiated on your behalf.
So I'll sign the goddamn deal.
There's no body camera footage from Officer Granger?
Officer Granger's body camera was malfunctioning that day, Your Honor.
Right, if Officer Granger says so. Now, luckily, there's an ATM with a camera just across from where this alleged altercation occurred. Is there a monitor we can use?
Your Honor, the people welcome any footage Mr. Holler wishes to present. It will only serve...
Mr. Choi.
Your Honor, may I have a moment to confer with Officer Granger?
Why, of course, Mr. Choi. The court is made entirely of time.
What's happening? Liars getting caught in their lies.
Okay, time served.
Only if you drop down to selling without a permit and expunge the whole thing from his record.
Fine.
Good news, Your Honor. I believe we've come to an agreement after all.
That is a way of ensuring that the offense is settled between the accused person and the state. And that concept is also developed in Ghana. But in 1979, there was a case which is called the Republic versus Director of Prisons, Espate Ohinijan. It's a 1979 decision. In that case, 2 persons were accused and charged for the offense of murder. While they were going through the proceedings or the trial, one of the accused persons admitted to the offense of manslaughter and was sentenced to prison on the offense of manslaughter. So he's accepted the punishment for a lesser offense instead of the higher offense he's charged. I mean, once he put in that plea and it was accepted by the state, he was allowed to go to prison for the offense of manslaughter instead of the offense of murder. So that is an example of plea bargain, but it has not been so formalized until 1993 when the court acts, which is the law that defines the structure, the systems of the court and the operations, the court jurisdictions and all of that, that law actually tried to create a formalized system for plea bargain, but it was also limited in scope. Section 35(1) of the Court Act of 1983 has a provision which sort of introduced the concept of plea bargain, but it was limited to certain offenses. So the words of the section says that where a person is charged with an offense before the High Court, the commission of which has caused economic loss, harm, or damage to the state or any state agency, the accused person may inform the prosecutor whether the accused person admits the offense and is willing to offer compensation or make restitution and reparation for the loss, harm, or damage caused. So if you pay a close attention to the words of the section, it's limited to certain offenses where the offense, for example, has caused an economic loss, economic harm, or economic damage to the state or a state agency. It is only them that the concept of plea bargain can be considered. In other words, the person can come forward and say that, well, I admit I have done what it is that you are saying I have done. I agree that my action has caused the state 10 million Ghana cedis, 500,000 Ghana cedis, and I'm willing to pay that money to the state. Once the person is willing to pay the money instead of going to prison, the state is empowered to accept the money and let the person walk free. That is more like a plea bargain, but it is in a different level altogether. It is not giving the opportunity to accept a lesser punishment for a higher one. It's giving the opportunity to refund or whatever loss you've brought about, you take care of the damage. So that is more like paying money instead of going to prison. So it is a choice you have. If you commit a crime and the crime has caused economic loss to the state or some financial loss to an agency of the state, you can offer to pay money or to compensate rather than go to prison. You can only achieve that by entering into some sort of negotiation with the state, where the state agrees that, fine, you know what, we've accepted that your actions has caused economic loss or financial loss. We want to take the money, or we want you to take care of the loss you've occasioned and walk a free man. But in 2022, Parliament passed a law which sought to amend the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act of 1960. That act was amended to make provision for plea bargain. Many people refer to the amendment made to the act as the Plea Bargain Act. Of course, it is not the Plea Bargain Act it's supposed to be called. It is supposed to be called Criminal and Other Offences Amendment Act 2022 at 1079. So that is the law that actually amended the Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act to include detailed provisions of plea bargain in the criminal system of Ghana. So Section 162A of Criminal and Other Offences Procedure Act clearly states that a person charged with an offense may at any time before judgment enter into negotiation with the state for a plea bargain to ensure that, number one, the offense charge is reduced to a lesser offense. Number two, the charge sheets are withdrawn completely against him. Number three, the punishment prescribed by the law, a reduced version of that punishment is given to him. So these three things are open to every accused person who is going through the criminal proceedings. And in a very basic term, the law allows you to include in a plea bargain a recommendation of a particular sentence that should be given to you. So when you and the state are able to agree, you can state that you want the state to give you a particular punishment. It will be recommended to the court. The court will review everything before it and accept it or reject it. It can also make provision for compensation for the victim of the offense. It can also include clauses or provisions that would take care of opportunity for restitutions to be done by the accused person. If he's stolen a car, he can find the car and restore it to the victim, and that can be a way to end the criminal proceedings. So these things can all be done. They are legal and they are permitted by the law to ensure that people find alternative ways to resolve disputes, and people do not always have to go to prison, which is already choked, by the way, just because they have committed a crime which can be amicably resolved by a plea bargain. It is an option open to everyone who is going through the criminal proceedings. So once you're able to reach a plea bargain with whatever terms you've agreed on, you'll file it before the court. And before the court would accept it, the court would ascertain whether or not you, the accused person who entered into that plea bargain, you were of a sound mind. Number two, the court will also ascertain whether or not you actually entered into that plea bargain agreement voluntarily. Did you, by yourself, agree to the terms of the plea bargain? The court will have to verify that. Of course, the court can do so by simply asking you, yes, Kofi Mensah, did you agree to these terms? Were you the one who signed yourself? When you were signing, was your lawyer there? I mean, they will just ask questions that would help the court to interrogate the circumstances surrounding the signing or the conclusions in the agreement, so that it will not look like they are imposing prison terms or lesser terms or whatever terms on the accused person because of settlement. Of course, the judge will also have to be convinced that there is some basis on the face of the agreement for the plea bargain. Is he having some factual basis that connect to what is actually before the court, the facts of the case before the court, and all of that? The court will ascertain that and be of the firm belief and opinion that there is some factual basis for the plea bargain before it can accept it. So those are the three main things that the court will look at before it adopts or accepts a plea bargain that was concluded between you, an accused person, and the Republic of Ghana in respect of an offense you have been charged or accused of. Remember, these things must be filed before judgment is delivered. So if judgment is set to be delivered tomorrow, you can enter into a plea bargain today and file it before the court today, and the court would hold on with the judgment and adopt your plea bargain. Now, what you also need to note is that the accused person or the state, as in the prosecutor, can apply to the court to set aside any judgment that was obtained upon the entry of a plea bargain. Some of the grounds for which you can set aside the judgment include the fact that the judgment or the plea bargain agreement was obtained by fraud, was obtained by deceit, was obtained by misrepresentation, was obtained by undue influence or by duress, or there was some illegality perpetrated before it was obtained, or the person who entered into it lacked capacity to enter into it. So some of those reasons can be the basis for the court to set aside the plea bargain or the judgment entered upon the entry of a plea bargain. What it means is that when you are going to sign a plea bargain to end your criminal case, just be sure that you are not being unduly influenced to enter into that agreement. I believe you pick a lesson or two from this one. So the next time you find yourself in the criminal process or a relative of yours is going through the criminal proceedings, encourage them to engage the state or the prosecutor to have some negotiation of his or her guilt. And it may end up being the case that his offer to probably serve a lesser term or to pay some money or compensate the victim may be accepted. And when it's accepted, that would end the criminal proceedings and he will not go to prison, and we can have our prison decongested and people can still have a second chance to live their life again and learn lessons of life. If you're not yet subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? You are missing a lot. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel. You click the like button to like the video as well, and as always, share with a friend. Let everybody get to know what we talk about on this channel. And if you have a question or comment, rush to the comment section and drop your question and we'll answer it right away. I am Godwin Selassie Dakbo, and this is Make It Legal. Make it legal.